give props to Bristol Motor Speedway, fighting rain delays. I know other tracks that would have got drenched the first time, Stephen, and they would have said, nope, we're done, we're finished, we're whole day wasted. They stuck to it. They stuck to it because I know practice makes perfect. I know you guys need practice for Bristol to get your cars ready. But then, of course, you go into another practice day of session on Saturday, and then you qualify. And I like the European-style qualifying. I think it would have made it go faster because, I quote, even the Bristol Motor Speedway announcer said, and I quote, if we would have been single-car qualifying, we would have been there until the next day because that's how many cars were there. But then, of course, time limits. It took almost an hour and 15 minutes to run a street stock B main, a compact race. A lot. I know there was a lot of calamity. I know a lot of cars got tore up. But that's why I say, do you follow the dirt racing world? Does there need to be a time limit? Hey, after it's either 50 laps or an hour, and after an hour, the race is done. Green, white, checker. That would be awesome. And another thing too, I don't remember what track or races it was, but for a while there, they did a 3 spin-out rule. If somebody was involved in a wreck 3 times or a caution 3 times, they got pulled off the track. I remember sitting there watching a street stock race, and I've seen the same guy spin out like almost 3-4 times in that one race, and it's just like, man, I get it. You want to be there. You probably spend a lot of money to get there. It's your hope. It's your dream to be there. But at one point, you're kind of holding up the show, and that doesn't only make drivers, like me that are waiting to go angry. It makes the fans a little bit, hostile as well. Nobody likes to sit all day long and wait, for the main event. And like I said, it's not taking anything away from the smaller classes either, because they need to be there, and that's what racing's all about. But they need to break it up in a couple different days and not have the big one-day show, because it just makes it. I wasn't eating dinner till 2:00 in the morning that night eating McDonald's, so it was a long night for everybody. Definitely, and of course, a big $10,000 payday for you there at Bristol. Just talk about real quickly the positives of it. How cool was it to pull up the ramp and pull in Bristol Motor Speedway's Fang Victory Lane, and you're hoisting the sword, and you got the Spartan Trophy. And again, the biggest win of your career so far.
Yeah, it's still a little unreal to me, pulling up in Victory Lane there, like you said, having the fire go off in the back. It was an unreal moment. It's going to be tough to top, but I plan on having a long career, so I got plenty of time to find another big one to top it with. But all in all, man, it was just, what a weekend. And, I wouldn't have rather done it any other way. If I would have just led the whole thing, it would have been boring for the fans. But I was able to make it a little bit of a show, and I definitely gained a lot of fans. So I've had a lot of people reach out. So all in all, it's just been a great feedback and a great time since I've gotten back home from the races, other than having to go to work on Monday. That was a bummer. But
and racing under the lights at Bristol, that's got to be a rush.
That was awesome. Yeah, that was awesome. I believe the last year or a year before, 'cause I've ran that race a couple times, we were kind of leading into dark. It was about dark when we got done, but this time it was full-blown under the lights, which that was one thing I would like. But at the same time, it doesn't get dark till 8:30, 9 o'clock, so we were waiting around a long time till dark.
Absolutely. But, of course, when it was said and done, he got a big win over Casey Roderick. There was some speculation when Roderick got down beside you, Stephen. Did he give you was there words? Was there a gesture? Was there a thumbs up? Was there a congratulations? Did he, just rub beside you?
He gave me a thumbs up. Really? He come in, got real close to me, was giving me a thumbs up from what I could see. It could have been telling me I was number one. I couldn't tell you, but from what I've seen, it looked like his thumb's shooting up. So,
it did. Okay.
I didn't get to talk to Casey after the race, unfortunately. I got to talk to Steve-O. I'm sure Casey was a little bit upset. Anytime you come that close to a win, it makes it tough to swallow getting taken away from you. But, he's a class act, and I'm sure we'll have plenty of more hard, close races here in the future.
Did you realize that you needed to save your tires, wait for that right moment? What was going through your mind from going into the pits and being like, man, I'm going to be at the rear of the field, and can I catch these guys? What's that mindset of what was going on from the bad luck all the way to winning the thing?
To be honest, I had to stay more positive over the whole deal than I have, in my whole career. I I'm working with the same group of guys all the time. My crew chief, Chris Cater, and Greg, and then Chris's brother, Sean, comes on the crew and helps us all the time. And I know Sean's the one that torques those wheels, and me and him had talked about it, and man, that guy is kicking himself. And, on the radio, he's saying he's so sorry, couldn't believe it. So I had to be the one to just be like, it's okay. It's not the end of the race. I think the old me would have been, probably cussing up a storm, mad. But I had to be the bigger person for a few minutes and talk my team back down and get everybody's head on straight. And thankfully, I let my driving speak for itself, and we were able to come back through. But not to my crew, but to myself, I definitely was, a little bit mad, cussing under my breath. But to my guys, all I did was pump them up, and it worked out for us.
Definitely. A few more minutes with the driver they call Stephen Nasty, driver number 51 entry out of Pinellas Park, Florida. Stephen got some big races coming up. Money in the Bank in Berlin, Michigan. I'll be there for that event coming up next Monday. $20,000 to win, 150 laps. A big show there in Grand Rapids. A bunch of other big races coming up. Where will we see Stephen Nasty at next?
There's the Pensacola race on the 22nd. Guys are trying to get me to go to that right now. I don't know if we will make it to that one. If we don't do that one, I'm going to be at the Slinger Nationals. We're going to that one for sure this year. So I'm ready to get up there and beat and bang with those guys, and hopefully just keep the fenders on it and have some fun.
I know we've had some asphalt tracks that have recently shut down, but there has been a resurgence, definitely, of asphalt racing on the rise again, especially for big shows, and I think that's great. But in the most recent month or so, especially last 2 weeks, dirt tracks have been rapidly closing. Stephen, why do you feel like that's happening in this industry now?
Man, honestly, that's news to me, and I that's hard to believe with the dirt side, because I thought, if anything, in the sport of, any kind of car racing, the dirt was thriving. Every time I see stands and see the fields, especially the guys like Davenport and stuff like that. I mean, them guys pack the house, and it's done right. I wish the late model guys kind of did it like the dirt guys. How they kind of travel and everybody has their own merchandise, trailers, and stuff like that, and it gives the drivers a chance to try to get some money back from their efforts of traveling. So to hear that dirt tracks are closing down, whether they're smaller or bigger, it's definitely a little bit scary, because you don't know what way the sport's going. You don't see too many young kids around in the pits anymore. I remember back in the day when I was younger, I had tons and tons of friends at the racetrack.
Right.
Racing just ain't the same anymore. Younger kids have different interests. You got video games and stuff like that blowing up. So it's tough right now for the racing world. But, I just hope that everybody can pull through and kind of work together. I've been talking with a couple people, the super late model guys, we need to get a group of, like me, Roderick, Bubba, and a couple other ones to go and travel to these races and put a big show on that way. You know what I'm saying? Kind of all travel together, sell our merchandise. And I think that would pack stands. I know the guys, up north, the fans especially, I have them blowing me up all the time, for us to come over there. And it's just tough. For like me, it's tough for me to even go to Slinger. So it'd be really cool if we could work out something where the drivers could really get together, get the tracks to, help us out and get us over there. And I think it would bring asphalt racing at least back to all-time high.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you on that. And I think it's safe enough to say that guys like you, Nasty, and Casey Roderick, and Giovanni Bramani, and all the names that were there, you run big shows. You run big shows. You run things like Bristol. You run the Snowball Derby. You run the Blizzard Series. I really don't see you committing to running any type of national tour. You just go to the big money events, Slinger Nationals, Money in the Bank. Do you feel like that's what's happened? Do you think we need to get away from the weekly program and these touring series, so to speak, and focus on big money shows? Do you think that's where the pickup's going to be for asphalt super late model racing?
It's tough to say. obviously any driver wants to say he wants to go race the big money races, but at the same time, I mean, you look at like a track like Five Flags and what they've done with the Blizzard Series.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, they get a big, huge fan base in there. I mean, I have myself personally probably 15, 20 fans that come in that follow me over there. I mean, Pensacola is one of the luckiest places, one of the luckiest racetracks as far as their fan base goes. I wish I had an answer on what we really needed to do. The only thing that I know that would help racing in general, because nobody wants to go watch one guy kick everybody's butt,
Right.
So you need to get a group of guys to go to these races. And Southern guys, I mean, I think it's been proven. I think it's pretty obvious, not to bash anybody else, but Southern, I think, brings the best drivers. It always has, and I think it always will. It's just been one of them deals, and if they could get us to travel up north, as a group, it would, I think it would bring in fans and, get the rivalries going as far as the northern versus southern guys, because we could all come up as a group. I've had these plans in my head I've been thinking about for months, man, but it's tough. I want to do something to bring racing back to being great, but the way it's going, it ain't going to happen. So I don't know. Hopefully the drivers, can get together. If there was a group of 5 or 6 of us that could travel out, and get help with hotels and things like that when we get out there, it would be big, not only for us, but for the fans and, for the tracks to get more people. It would just be a huge deal.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, Stephen. I think that there's things in the realm that us in the racing community can do to try to help build the population for motorsports in this generation. But it's got to take an effort of everybody. It just can't be Stephen Assey. It's got to be everybody to come together. And sadly, I think that that's what's happened is, maybe we're worried about more putting money in our pockets and we forgot about what this whole thing's about. It's supposed to be about having fun. It's supposed to be about getting race fans and entertaining people. Without race fans, you guys don't have nobody to put a show on in front of. Without race fans, I don't have nobody to announce a race to. Without race fans, the tracks are going to close down, and the cars aren't going to come. And it's happening. It's happening, especially in the dirt world.
I don't only race too just for the feel that I like of only winning. If I went to a race, let's say, and there had no fans in the stands, and literally nobody except for me and the drivers and our crews, I wouldn't get the same kind of high that you get from getting out of the car to 1,000 people or whatever it may be.
Right.
Everybody likes to put on a show, and even me, I mean, I enjoy that part the most. I like the fans aspect. I like having, people follow me and, want to watch my race. And I have a few diehards, and I'll tell you, any driver will say when you have people that'll go, state to state and follow you, it makes you feel really good about yourself. Kind of makes you feel like somebody. And we need more of that. And like I said, there has to be something that needs to be done. And I mean, you have guys like Bubba and then like me, I feel like we're probably the only 2 that really travel out of our realm. But if we could get like a group together, like I said, and then find a way to cut down costs a little bit, not only on our end, but tracks and stuff like that, man, I mean, it would be awesome. And it would draw more cars, too, because they would want to come out and race us, I feel like.
Absolutely. And, here's another thing to think about as well, Stephen. For instance, this past weekend at Bristol for the Short Track U.S. Nationals, there probably was about 2,500 people there in the stands. That's the number I'm going to say probably from looking in the press box, looking all the way around from the people in the stands. Now, for a Pensacola or for a Orange County Speedway, for a Southern National, 2,500 fans is a packed grandstand. But for a place like Bristol, and that's what people don't realize, you've got a place like the Glass Great Coliseum where it can hold 180,000 people. It looks like little dots in the stands. But here's the sad thing.
I was sitting there before qualifying, or it was like practice or something like that with one of my guys, and I was looking up in the stands, and first glance, it looks like 40 people maybe up there.
Right.
But then I kind of did a light count on them, and there were 40 people in just the one section.
That's
where
right.
At the glimpse of an eye, it looked like nothing. But it turned out, there were 200 people just spread out easily.
Yeah.
So it's just, I mean, that like you say, you can't tell when like they hold 180,000 people, 2,500 ain't going to look like much.
You're exactly right. And again, 2,500 people to a local short track is a packed house, Stephen Assey. That's a great crowd. Oh, my God, we made money. We had people show up.
Yeah.
2,500 people
Oh yeah,
is
they
something
have people
compared to
standing
Bristol.
up next to the fence.
Yeah. 2,500 people
Yeah.
compared to Bristol is